And welcome back and welcome to our FPL edition on the cheap seats. Just a quick reminder, please do interact with us on these platforms. Most importantly, like and subscribe on YouTube. This is the FPL edition where we discuss all things FPL. It's an interesting week now, guys. It's game week 29 and it's the blank game week. It's that game week where FA Cup quarterfinals are being played. And if your team's not in the FA Cup quarterfinal, happiness, you're playing this weekend. So before we go on, Dean, how was your game week 28? Pep decided to show everybody flames. So how did that happen for you?
I mean, it was a bit of a weird game week. I woke up on Saturday, turned on the TV, and then realized that Newcastle had who was it? Newcastle Aston Villa played on Friday night. I was like, damn it, I forgot to make any transfers. So stressing the whole weekend, thinking, okay, this is it, it's done. But yeah, it actually came to my good. So managed to go up the rankings. I'm now up to 178,000th in the world, still behind Kenta in our mini league. But yeah, I think it was one of those game weeks where you were probably better off if you did nothing, because of all the fixtures went weird ways. Pep hit his normal De Bruyne, no one else played. It was one of those weeks where it didn't actually matter what you did because you could never have guessed what was going to
come. Kent, how was your game week? You are still up there. I'm chasing you. I think everyone in cheap seats is chasing you except for AD. So how was your weekend?
Yeah, I'm really chasing AV and Dean up top there. I won't lie. After the first two games, or after the City game, it looked like I was within reach. And then, yeah, a lot happened after that. But so the Villa game was a huge swing of points. I had Martinez, and I had Watkins, who at least got some points. But Martinez could have got a double haul. If they just the last kick of the game, if Lascelles didn't score that.
Here's the fun thing. At that point in time, 5 minutes, 90 minutes, I think, before they scored that goal, right about there, I had Target, Martinez, and Watkins, and that was 21.
Exactly.
21 points. It went from 21 to about 12. It was got 5, Target got 4. Watson got 5, Watkins got 5, Target got 4, and
he got an assist there.
So Watkins and so like changed. He changed from a goal to assist, and I think if he got the goal, maybe would have been in the bonus points. But yeah, it's a huge swing of points there. The Man City roulette worked to my favor. I had Stones and Diaz, and both of them started. Cancelo managed to get the assist and get almost a bit more points than Diaz, but obviously the De Bruyne and the Sterling not playing helped me a lot, but then Gundogan also didn't play, and I think Rafinha or someone like that came off my bench. And then I think the main thing as to why lots of people were frustrated was on the captaincy. If you look at Bruno, he banked, Salah blanked, and Kane blanked. You had to have a differential captain, complete differential, like Vardy.
Like I had a differential captain. I had a differential captain, and guess what he did? They go on and lose bloody Burnley. I had Richarlison. Richarlison. I was like, this is the moment, and true to form, every time I put Richarlison in my team, Everton does something dumb. So
and you took out Calvert-Lewin for him.
I didn't have Calvert-Lewin. Okay. I took out Bamford for him. So I was lucky because obviously Bamford got that injury. But on the other end, I was like, dude, do something. Like, it was between Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, and I was like, you know what? Let me go with this guy. He's on form, and boom, it fell. It broke me. Okay, so
just saying in concluding, I do think you can, for someone like yourself and myself also, we're gonna have to take some punts to catch up to Dino and AB. I'm quite happy staying in third, so I'm going to be going probably with the effective ownerships and all of that. But if I really want to make that last sprint, I'm going to have a few surprising captaincies. With Dean, he's also going to have to make sure he doesn't captain the same person as me.
Well, based on what you guys provided to me, it's going to be fun. So game week 29, it's a blank game week, so it's a different game week. So this is where the chips come in. Are there any chips people could use? I'm thinking a free hit if somebody has a free hit.
I mean, if you have a free hit, yeah. I don't know how you still have a free hit. I have no idea how anyone has chips left.
I think the chips left would be free hits, or if you haven't played your wild card, it's recommended you play it in game week 31. So you could kind of have a few punts in this week. Go for people that like Dunk, Feltman, players that you don't want long term, but you want to have just a little bit of a differential. Unfortunately, with me, I've played all my chips, so I'm gonna have to really strategize. The players that I bring in, they need to be players that I want for the game weeks coming up, and not in and out.
So for a person who doesn't have chips, do you try and make a lot of transfers, or do you just let things fall where they may and play with the players you have? So how many players do you think you should have in this game week to at least have some sort of a haul?
So I think a nice number would have been 8 or 9, but with the injuries to Son, Bamford, I think Dan Burn also got injured. It's going to go down to about 6 or 7. But I do think for someone that doesn't have chips, if you're bringing in a player for a -4, it's actually going to be a -2, since the player not playing is a 0. So them pitching up already is 2 points. So I do think taking hits is needed if you don't have chips coming up, but not too many. So I'm looking at a -4 potentially. But that will come closer to the day if I think it's really worth it. But I think a -8 is a bit too far.
But then the other question is what happens next week, because you're probably going to have to take that player out. Because the teams that are playing this week are it's Fulham, Leeds, Brighton, Newcastle, West Ham, Arsenal, Aston Villa, Spurs. And outside of Spurs and Aston Villa, I don't think anybody else would want any of the players. Because the other question, do you have any Arsenal players in your team?
I do. I've got Emile Smith-Rowe, who was on my bench because I did play a wild card on game week, I think 25 or 26, and I did keep a bench that I knew that would have to come in for my game week 29. So I had on my bench Feltman. I had Jamal Lewis, who looks like he's suddenly fallen out of favor at Newcastle, and then Emile Smith-Rowe is only 4.3, who is a playing midfielder. But the teams that you can only put in now, which you could last you kind of for the rest of the season, are a Leeds player, so maybe a Dallas or a Rafinha if you don't have. Maybe even Millier, since Aston Villa have a very tough fixtures towards the end of the season. If you want to go well, you shouldn't do it now, but keep Martinez and maybe sell your second keeper for Millier, and then the other team is West Ham. So Antonio or Dawson, or even someone like their left back Creswell.
Creswell.
They're all very viable picks, not only for this week, but for going forward. I don't think they are. You have to think like that. You can't be bringing in Trossard, for example. He's a punt for this week, but he's not a punt for the rest of the season.
So here we go. Let's go through all our picks. So I've asked the guys to give us the transfers in, the players they'll transfer out, the differential, and their captain. So we're going to start with Kent. Kent has brought in he's thinking of bringing in Craig Dawson, as he's just spoke about then, transferring out Luca Digne. Harry Kane is going to be the captain this week, and it's Emile Smith-Rowe as his differential. Kent, what were you think? What was your rationale around that? I think you've spoken a little bit about it, but just add a little bit more color there.
So you want to have, for captain's pick, you want to have the players that could hurt you the most if you don't have, and I think that would be Spurs assets and possibly Arsenal assets, but definitely Spurs, how I see it. I think Captain Kane, he's a player that will be in everyone's draft, even if you're playing a free hit, and I think even free hitters will select Kane as their captain. So I'm happy with Kane. I think if he blanks, there's not going to be a lot of people going for a differential, like maybe Aubameyang or something like that. So happy with Kane. Bringing in, selling Digne and bringing in Dawson. Digne and Everton haven't seemed great at home all of a sudden. They have conceded. There's a huge premium on Digne being 6.1. and I could have sold him and maybe Calvert-Lewin, but they do have a favorable fixture in Game Week 30, which is Crystal Palace. So I think I'm going to decide probably on losing one and maybe possibly losing Stones. Because of the Pep Roulette and because of City's heavy fixture list coming up. I think there's going to be a lot of changes. So bringing in someone like Dallas or Creswell. But why I've gone with Dawson is Dawson's 4.5. He's a goal threat. Where if I went with Creswell, I think it's almost $1 million more. So I want to save some bank and hopefully bring in someone like Kevin De Bruyne. I currently have 3 City players, Diaz, Stones, and Gundogan. I want to bring in Kevin De Bruyne. So losing Stones and then bringing in KDB, I think makes sense. So yeah, that's my rationale. And then Emile Smith-Rowe, basically my only non-template player. So
okay. I think Kent has just here's back here again. Dean, let's go to you. Let's go to my team first. So I chose to transfer in Neil Maupay because Brighton are playing Newcastle, guys. Come on. Surely.
You will never be able to justify this. You will never justify bringing in Maupay.
Transferring out to Charleston. So transferring out to Charleston is just a one-game thing. I think I might bring him back in the next game week because I brought Richarlison for the long haul. So it depends. I might even just, if it works out, I could bring in DCL. I'm captaining Ollie Watkins as a differential. The last time people forgot about Ollie Watkins was in a game week similar to this, and everyone went Kane, and Ollie Watkins came through. So I'm hoping that he comes good against Spurs. And then Joachim Anderson as my differential. He's done really well for Fulham. He has, I think, since game week 23, he's only scored minimum of 6 points. So let's hear a Dean on Neil Maupay. My options were Antonio from West Ham, but he's playing Arsenal, and I'm like thinking that possibly he might not get goals.
Ryan Rampant.
He won't. Yeah, look, I don't think he will, unless if you. Maybe I could bring in Lingard, but that's a midfield decision. And then the other option was Danny Welbeck. I don't know who's striking up front for Newcastle, so that's weird. And then I think everyone's gravitating to that lead side. So I'm trying to figure out which lead striker is going to come in. Might be Rafinha, so Rafinha's there too. So those were my options. And I was like, actually, why not go for a Brighton team that has a little bit of confidence, won a game, and they're trying to get out of that relegation zone against a Newcastle team. What do you think, Dean?
I mean, my thing is, and I think that's exactly what Ken said, you're going to bring Maupay in, but it's just for this week. And I mean, if you have the transfers to waste, that's fine, but that's my only thing. I would look at something that's a little bit longer term, even if it is Bamford's out, right? So, and he's probably going to be out for at least 2 weeks from what I've seen. So, Marcelo Bielsa brought in Rodrigo straight after Bamford went off. So, and if you look at that Leeds fixtures, they actually got pretty decent fixtures over the next 2 weeks. So, I mean, they've got Fulham this week and then they play Sheffield next week. So that's why I've got Bamford as well, and I'm kind of contemplating that move as well. But yeah, I think I understand the point around Brighton, and they might be on the good, but
it's just one game week. Next week is out.
I'd rather go Welbeck. Welbeck has better points against anyone than Neil Maupay, but it's fine. And I mean, you get Maupay in, and then we'll talk next week.
It hurt me because he hurt my boy last year in Matteo Guendouzi, and it got Matteo a red card, and then also Matteo no longer plays for Arsenal. That's why we are Hertha Berlin supporters.
If I can offer some advice, I would not sell Richarlison for Maupay. I would rather bring in Trossard, being 5.7. I think he is.
Just as he was about to tell me about Trossard.
Actually, what he was going to say was, don't bring in Trossard. Keep it at Maupay because it's a terrible decision.
I've got that, and I might actually drop. Who do I have? I've got Souček, but he's going to play. But I'll find someone in my midfield to get Trossard out. So let's look at Dean's team quickly. Dean has transferred in Gareth. I thought Gareth Bale was in your team. Oh, you didn't make transfers last week. Oh, I forgot
to make transfers.
So Mo Salah is still in your team, so now he has to leave. You've got Harry Kane, and then here's an interesting one. Elan Meslier. Was Meslier always in your team?
Meslier has been in my team for the last 8 to 10 game weeks, because a while ago I had Matt Ryan, and then when he decided to make the terrible career choice and go to your team, I needed to find another keeper. So Meslier was on the list, and Meslier, I mean, Leeds concede goals like crazy, but Meslier has he's really good at saving, so he gets quite a few like save points as well. And everyone was on the Martinez train, so that's why I got Meslier in quite a while ago. And he's really come to the good over the last. Okay, it's only been over the last 2 weeks, but I mean, Chelsea keeping a clean sheet against Chelsea is no easy feat, and some of the saves he made there were ridiculous. And the week before that, he got saved a penalty save, and then got some save points there as well. And they're playing Fulham this week, so he's only owned by 6.6% of people. And the reason why I'm going for him as a differential is exactly like Ken said. A lot of people have Martinez, but Aston Villa are playing Spurs, and it's hard to say, but kind of back Spurs to score there at least one goal. So in terms of that, and as well as the fairly empty fixture list, there's not a lot of options there where you could look for a sneaky differential. So it is weird. I know we kind of don't back goalkeepers on the show, but I think Meslier could be a pretty decent pick this year. This week. But yeah, carry on.
I just remembered I have an Arsenal player in my squad, and that's Bernd Leno. So I've got the Martinez-Leno combination.
Yeah.
So this week it's Bernd Leno coming in goals, because I honestly think Harry Kane's going to score against Martinez. But it's always happened that whenever I pick Bernd Leno, like I did 2 weeks ago, Martinez has a very good game week. So interesting enough, you and Kent have chosen the same guy, Harry Kane. So you're going with the pack. And I'm picking Ollie Watkins because I'm just like, you know what, screw this. Ollie Watkins might just do a Liverpool to the Spurs side.
The one thing I will say though about the Spurs guys, I mean, Jose took Bale off at 55 minutes because he wasn't happy with the way he was performing, right? Son's gone.
Wait, how long is Son gone? Because we're being told it's 75%. He could likely play. Is Jose playing
like
games
2
with
weeks.
us, or will...
I think it's 2 weeks. In my mind, he needs to give Son this week off, and then it's international break. So at least Son has 3 weeks off, because he had that injury because he's just playing way too much. So give the guy 3 weeks off, and then hopefully come back and push. But that's why I think from a Spurs asset, they are maybe you can't go Lamela now, but you could go Bergwijn as a potential asset there, as a sneaky pick. Because we obviously need to fill up that left side.
And Mora?
So Mora is also really good. I mean, he's definitely playing. And I mean, the only thing with Mora is, again, you don't know how long he can last. And he's there and thereabouts, but he could, Jose could mix up that whole team again and put Dele instead of Lucas. And maybe put Lucas on the left, or bring Lucas as like a sub for Bergwijn on the wing. So that's why I'm a little bit tentative about the Spurs assets this week. It'll be interesting to say the team we put against Dinamo Zagreb tomorrow night. I mean, the coach is going to prison, so anything could happen. Maybe we should put out a youth team there.
Are you guys playing you guys are playing in Zagreb?
Yeah, so we're playing in Zagreb. So
what was your first leg deficit, or whatever it was? Score
2-0. So we're leading 2-0. I don't think he's going to put out the big guns because of the traveling. Although having said that, I mean, last week Arsenal traveled to, I don't know where, but you guys were on there.
It was Greece.
Okay.
It was Greece. Yeah. It wasn't Eastern Europe. It was Greece.
Well, you went traveling, you came back, and you were the guys that rocked up in the North London derby. We played at home and we didn't rock up. So I don't think you can blame the traveling anyway. So
dude, we're playing Socrates and his friends. It wasn't like we were playing
I'm playing a criminals team, so we'll also see what's happening with that.
Dean, I just want to get an opinion from you. If for those managers that do have Son, Do you think it's worth bringing in Bale for Son? I know Son will be out definitely for Thursday, and Jose said, I saw now in a press conference, he's likely to be out this weekend, and then he should be back after the international break. If I was to bring in Bale, I'd need him to play more than 60 minutes, firstly, and then kind of not go back on that and then be like, okay, Bale for the rest of the season, or at least for 5 games. Do you feel it's worth, for those who have Son, to bring in Bale, or do you think it's rather stick with Son because he will come back in Game Week 30 and Bale's not the investment you want for Son now?
So the only reason why I don't want to answer this truthfully is because I know you have Son.
Yeah.
So, we all have Son. Like the whole world has Son. Like we're all sitting.
I don't have Son. But I 100%. I wouldn't sell Son. I wouldn't sell Son for Kane. Purely because I think if the injury was longer term, and I mean, if you look at the way he pulled up, I think everyone thought, okay, rest of the season you're gone. But evidently it's not that bad. The Bale rotation is also a big thing. You know, you don't want to get a guy that's only going to play 1 point. And Son does have a good history of he gets some time off. He comes, you know, has a bit of a break, and then he comes back guns firing. So for me, I can get Salah out of my team just because I think Jota is now the way to go in that Liverpool side. Can bring in Bale, and then hopefully by saving some cash and getting out like Luca Dini in my team, I might be able to go a Kane, Son, Bale triple up. So we'll see how that goes, but I definitely don't think you should sell Son. The thing with Game Week 29 is...
Did you just say Kane, Son, and Bale tripling up in FPL with the Spurs team that's not winning in many games?
We are winning many games. You just got lucky, Imbo. Don't stop. We've had this conversation. No, but I think the big thing is if you've got Kane, Son, and Bale, I think guys are going to get fired up, and I think the guys will come back. That's my point. It will be tough though to get them all into your team, given that you need KDB and you need Bruno, and obviously the prices and things like that. But that's the way I'm looking at going for sure. You just hope Gareth Bale comes to the good and doesn't have like a temper tantrum from Jose taking him off.
I just wish Chelsea were playing this game week, because I think a lot of people are sleeping on their defensive assets, like Mendy and Rudiger, maybe Azpilicueta, and then some maybe a punt on Mount. Bringing him into this game week would have been interesting. So I think a lot of managers will be looking at possibly Leicester and Chelsea players, but it's annoying because you don't want to bring in a dud. So this game week, it's if I had my free hit, it would be great. But like Dean said, if you haven't used your free hit yet, I don't think you're probably in the.
Yeah, I don't think you're in the top 80. I think Rudiger is a good option though. He's very cheap. So if you got, I mean, in the future, Rudiger is cheap and he is playing. So yeah, it is a good shout to have.
So I take it Kent loves centre backs, whereas a lot of the guys on the cheap seats go for wing backs. It seems, or anybody who doesn't cost more than.
I go for budgets. I'm like AB. AB gave me good advice when he was first, and he said he likes his 4.5s. So I've taken that on.
Yes, we gave you Anderson right there, differential. Bring him in your side. Fulham are not losing this game against Leeds. And he's probably going to score. He takes free kicks too. So you heard it here first. But yeah, so all the best to everybody. Just to remind Dean and AB and anybody who's watching this, the game week closes when? On Friday.
Yeah. Do it on Thursday, actually.
So do it on Thursday. It closes on Friday. But thank you very much, guys, for this. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it'd be North London heavy, and it was, but it was still fun. And yeah, so to everybody who's watching, thank you very much. If you're an FPL player, have a great weekend. May the odds be ever in your favor. Good luck. Let's see you on the other side. This one's going to be a nightmare. But yes, for myself, Kent, and Dean. Kent, thank you very much for coming, my man. Thank you very much from the rest of the Cheap Seats team. We missed the guys. Next week, hopefully, we'll see you guys. But for myself, Dean, and Kent, lesale kakahiso.